Good morning, students. Welcome to botany class 3. So today's class is aerobic respiration. Subtopic is what? Krebs cycle. In previous class we were discussed about what? Respiration. What is respiration? How many types of respirations are there? What is aerobic respiration? What is anaerobic respiration? What is fermentation? And mainly we were discussed about what glycolysis. What is glycolysis? Where does it takes place? And the end product of glycolysis is what? Pyruvic acid. Okay, the fate of pyruvic acid is what? In the presence of oxygen, pyruvic acid enters into where? Aerobic respiration, that is into where? Krebs cycle. In the absence of oxygen, pyruvic acid is enters into where? Fermentation process. It may be alcohol fermentation or a lactic acid fermentation. So that were discussed in previous class. Today we are going to discussing about Krebs cycle, that is aerobic respiration in detail. Okay, Krebs cycle itself or aerobic respiration itself takes place at where? Mitochondria. Okay, we know very well mitochondria is one of cell organelle. It is commonly called a powerhouse of cell because during respiration ATP, energy is released in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That is why mitochondria is commonly called what? Powerhouses of cell. Okay. The end product of glycolysis is what? Pyruvic acid. Then pyruvic acid is entered into where? Krebs cycle. Within the aerobic respiration or Krebs cycle, there will be two major steps are going on. So first step is what? Complete oxidation of pyruvic acid. What happened? Complete oxidation of pyruvic acid, because aerobic respiration means what? In the presence of oxygen. Complete oxidation of pyruvic acid takes place, and also oxidation means what? There will be oxidation is there and reduction is there. Oxidation, reduction. What is oxidation? Addition of O2 or removal of electrons or removal of protons. This is commonly called what? Oxidation. Here removal of O2 or addition of what? Hydrogen or addition of electrons or protons is commonly called what? Reduction. Okay, oxidation and reduction. Here complete oxidation. Oxidation means what? Here removing electrons and protons are commonly called what? Hydrogen atoms. So that is why complete oxidation of pyruvic acid takes place. Not only this one, in first step, what is also going to releasing 3 molecules of CO2. 3 molecules of CO2 also released. Okay, this is happening at where? Matrix of mitochondria. Matrix of mitochondria. Already I told aerobic respiration takes place in mitochondria. Okay, the first step takes place at where? Matrix of mitochondria. Then second step, what happened? The removed electrons and protons pass to where? Oxygen molecule. Pass to where? Oxygen molecule. And also synthesis of what takes place? ATP. So that is why what happened? We are going to inhaling what? Oxygen. For what purpose? We require what? Energy for doing what? Activities. That energy is released in the form of what? ATP. This will be happen at where? Krebs cycle. Of course, during glycolysis process also some of ATPs are released, but the more energy is released at where? During Krebs cycle. So this reaction takes place at where? Inner membrane of mitochondria, commonly called what? Cristae. Inner membrane of infolding, invaginated inner membrane of mitochondria is commonly called what? Cristae. Okay. So good. Okay, fine. Here the end product of pyruvic acid enters into Krebs cycle. End product of glycolysis, that is pyruvic acid, not directly enters into Krebs cycle. Before going to enters into Krebs cycle, it is enters one more reaction that is commonly called a link reaction. What is that? Link reaction. It is also called oxidative decarboxylation. Oxidative decarboxylation process. Okay. Pyruvic acid in the presence of coenzyme A, and here one coenzyme NAD plus also involved. This is also one coenzyme. NAD plus means what? Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. That is the full form of what? NAD. In the presence of dehydrogenase enzyme, then what will be form? Acetyl coenzyme A. Pyruvic acid combines with what? Coenzyme A, then forms what? Acetyl coenzyme A. Here one coenzyme NAD plus is involved. Dehydrogenase means already we will discuss yesterday class. Here what happened? One hydrogen atoms are removed from where? Pyruvic acid, that was captured by NAD plus, then converted into water. NADH plus and H plus. Here magnesium ions also play very key role. So this will be takes place at where? It is also takes place at where? Where? Matrix of a mitochondria. Then the acetyl coenzyme A enters into where? Krebs cycle. Acetyl coenzyme A enters into where? Krebs cycle. Then we will discuss detailed about what? Krebs cycle. This is very important. This is one more long question. So it is also there will be chances of what? 100% it will be also there in the examination. Either glycols or Krebs cycle. So from these two, one will be there in the examination. That is why listen carefully. Okay. Krebs cycle takes place at where? Mitochondria. And Krebs cycle, the steps or equations which are going on during Krebs cycle discovered by one scientist, Sir Hans Krebs. Sir Hans Krebs. So that is why the name was given Krebs cycle. Okay. Krebs cycle is also called TCA cycle. TCA means tricarboxylic acid. Krebs cycle is also called what? TCA, tricarboxylic acid cycle. Carboxylic acid group means like this, RCOH. This is commonly called what? Carboxylic acid group. How many carboxylic acid groups are formed? Tri means what? 3. Okay, if you are going to observing equations of Krebs cycle, there will be 3 carboxylic acid groups are there. That is why it is also called TCA, tricarboxylic acid cycle. Where we are going to find this group means at citric acid, cis-aconitic acid, isocitric acid. Citric acid, cis-aconitic acid, isocitric acid. In these 3 organic compounds, we will find RCOOH, that is carboxylic acid group. That is why it is also called TCA cycle. Then Krebs cycle is also called citric acid cycle. Krebs cycle is also called citric acid cycle because the first product which is formed during Krebs cycle is citric acid. So that is why Krebs cycle is also called what? Citric acid cycle. Okay, Krebs cycle, TCA cycle, citric acid cycle. Whatever it may be, these 3 names are belonging to what? Krebs cycle only. Krebs cycle, citric acid cycle and tricarboxylic acid cycle. Now we are going to saying what are the steps or equations involved in what? Where? Krebs cycle. Okay, this charts itself represents what? Cycle. Already I told in previous class what is the difference between pathway and cycle. Okay, the starting point in one product starts at where? One point and ends also same point. That is the meaning of what? Cycle. Or start from one point and end with somewhere point. Other point means that is what? Pathway. So this is what? Krebs cycle. Okay, what happened here? The end product of glycols is what? Pyruvic acid. Then pyruvic acid enters into where? Link reaction. This is link reaction and forms what? Acetyl coenzyme A. Forms what? Acetyl coenzyme A. Here addition of coenzyme A takes place. Then removal of CO2 takes place. And the enzyme is what? Dehydrogenase. That is why what happened here? The product is what? NADH plus H plus. NAD plus converted into what? NADH plus H plus. Now acetyl coenzyme A enters into where? Krebs cycle. Acetyl coenzyme A, from this there will be removing of what takes place? Coenzyme A. In the presence of citric synthase, this is enzyme. In the presence of citric synthase, acetyl coenzyme A converted into citric acid. Acetyl coenzyme A is converted into citric acid in the presence of what? Citric synthase. Then citric acid converted into, that is why it is also called what? Citric acid cycle. The first product is what? Citric acid. Then citric acid itself converted into what? Cis-aconitic acid. Here enzyme is what? Aconitase. Enzyme is what? aconitase. Here what will be takes place? Removing of a water molecule takes